Hello everyone, I'm Marty Stiles with Ultratec Special Effects. Welcome to our live stream. We're going to take a few moments to wait for more people to join us. In the meantime, we're going to ask Tony how he got into special effects. So Tony, how did you get into special effects?
Well, it was kind of by accident, Marnie. I used to work for a theme park right out of high school, and I was a performer, and they also did concert series, and the performers would get overtime and go to the airport and pick up the rock stars and bring them to the park, and I thought that would be pretty cool, overtime and meet a rock star. So I signed up for that list, but it turns out that I signed up on the wrong list. I signed up to be a technician helper, so I really ended up unloading trucks of equipment and helping them run the shows. So for that show, I ran low-line smoke, which at the time was a 55-gallon drum of hot water, and you dump dry ice on it, and that's what made that go out there. So, but after doing that a few times, I decided that I actually liked that kind of work, and I signed up on purpose from then on. And after about a year, they asked me to go full-time with them, and I became a lighting technician and a pyrotechnician, special effects technician, fireworks technician, laser technician. Learned quite a few things. That was like 40 years ago.
So you've got a lot of experience and you've seen a lot of changes.
Oh yes, the technology has changed a lot. The first fireworks show I ever did was with a 12-volt battery and a nail board. But now it's all computerized, wireless, and we have machines like this now. So
Yes, a lot of changes, a lot of changes. Well, I think we're ready to start. So, hello everyone, I'm Marty Stiles with Ultratec Special Effects. Welcome to our live stream. Today we have Tony Wikner from our Groveland, Florida operation to teach you how to maintain your Radiance Hazer. So, stick around, and after the presentation, there's going to be Q&A. Join the chat, send in your questions. Tony would love to answer them. So, Tony, take it away.
thank you, Marnie. So, okay, well, I'll be walking you through the procedures for keeping your Radiance Hazer running great with an emphasis on preventative maintenance and maybe a few tricks if you have a problem in the field that you might be able to use. So, anyways, the number one most important thing you can do is to only use the Luminous 7 haze fluid. It's been formulated for long hang time and low consumption, and it's been approved by the Equity. It's the only thing to use with this machine. So another thing to keep in mind is the positioning of the hazer in the room. You don't want the smoke recirculating back through itself. You can use fans to push it, or the internal fan on this thing too. It also has an output on the back for a second fan. You use our VersaFan with this, with the touring package, or in combination with this alone. And the nice thing about it is the DMX code for running the fan speed up and down will also run the fan speed up and down for the external fan as well. So we recommend starting out with a high output to get that smoke rolling in your room, and then dropping it down to the minimum that you require to maintain that haze in the room. So this is right now running in standalone mode at about just about full percentage there on the fan and on the pump. So I'm sure you can hear the fan now. So next thing you need to do is shut this thing down properly. If you just want to run in the haze at full speed like that, you need to bring the fan speed and the pump speeds down to 0 and allow the haze to diminish before you turn off the machine. So you can do that with the DMX mode, with the DMX channel. Whatever channel you program this to, the second channel is also used for the fan speed, so you need to bring both those channels down and allow the haze to quit before shutting off the main power. If you're using the remote control, the same thing. You would bring the level down and the fan down all the way, and once again, wait for the haze to cease like it has now. So, or the standalone mode, same thing. So anyways, as you can see, the haze has ceased now. This will prevent fluid from remaining inside the 4-port chamber, and you won't have the spitting that you might get if all that was still in there afterwards, and you won't get it. It won't be hazing on you when you turn it on and warm it up, and you don't want haze yet. So anyways, well, let's see, let me get another example of our machines up here to show you a few other things. This one's cold, so I can work on this one. So this one has the thumb wheels here for setting the DMX address or the standalone address and everything. Occasionally, if you're trying to use the machine and it's not responding to DMX, you may have a solid DMX light, but it's not responding. We recommend running these things around a few times and then resetting it to the proper address. There's sometimes a little dust or corrosion or something can get on the contacts for that. And we find very often that solves the problem for that. So you can check your fill where this goes into the jug. This little filter right here sometimes will get clogged up and might give you a poor performance as well. So just clean that off, put her back in. So anyways, I'm going to go ahead and open this thing up so we can see inside and go over the maintenance procedures inside. So there's 5 screws, 1 on top, 2 in the back. This is number 2 Phillips screwdriver, and 2 on the side. And then you lift up the back of the cover. There's a grounding wire in there with the spade. You just pull that off, slide her forward, and off it comes. Okay, now inside, you can check the check valve here. If it's full of fluid, that might be an indication that there's some sort of a clog going on inside the block itself, or maybe a problem with the air pump, which is pretty rare, so it's more likely going to be something inside. We also use these push spade connectors, not only for the grounding wires, but also on the switches and the triacs. And over time, if your machine is a little bit older, those can kind of become a little bit loose through rough handling, 60 cycle hum, or the constant heating and cooling of a machine through the years can make those expand and contract slightly and become a little bit weaker. So just check those. If they're all tight, you're good to go, but that could be a problem if your machine's not running for you in the field. So these Wago connectors are pretty robust and you shouldn't have that problem, but occasionally somebody might close this down on the actual insulation and not on the wire itself, and it may not be making a full connection. So we're going to go ahead and open up the block now. We use a little hook tool because it's held down with springs. I don't know if you can see that very well in here, but I'm hooking that spring, pulling up, releasing the tension, and same on the other side. You can use a screwdriver, flat blade screwdriver if you want. This just works so much better if you have one in your shop. So, and then we can lift the cover off. It also has the grounding spade on it to remove. And now inside you can see the block itself. The top plate has 4 7/16 inch nuts on there, using a deep well socket so you can reach it without the wrench hitting this, and it's pretty easy to remove it at that point. So I'm going to go ahead and take those off. Just take a second here, sorry. One more. And off. Now, next will be a gasket. This gasket is reusable as long as it looks clean and doesn't have any cracks in it or filled with fluid or anything like that. That can be reused many times. When you buy a new unit, you're going to get a replacement with it. Your first one's free. So, okay, so the next part is the 4-port vaporizer chambers. That also slides off, and it's connected by some surgical tubing here on the end. So this is the inlet tube, the outlet tube, and then the chambers themselves. So inside here there'll be a buildup of, I guess, some sort of a little soot, from the burning of the fluid, and that can eventually build up and clog the machine. So we usually in the shop use this Dremel tool. It's a number 442 cup brush, stainless steel. and we'll just put it right in there and blow that stuff out of there. I'm going to put some safety glasses on before I do that. And just put it down in there and run it around a little bit. On a dirty one, the further you get away from the inlet tube, the less there'll be. Most of the discharge is going to be on the one closest to the inlet tube. So this one wasn't very dirty because it's a fairly new machine. So, and then after that, we're going to use a 3/32 or a 5/64 drill bit. We get the 6-inch long ones because once you seat this all the way in the chuck, it won't be long enough to reach the inlet tube. So. Then we just run that through there to clean any little deposits in there out as well. And that's pretty much takes care of that. When we reassemble, the next chamber down is where the heater rod is and the sensors are. And then there's the insulation around that. You don't want any debris between the two plates. You want these two plates to have a good firm connection so there's good heat transfer. It doesn't take much stuff in there really to mess it up. So, okay, and then we'll replace the gasket and the lid. The large flat washers first, and then the lock washers. And then the nuts. Now there's a couple of methods you can use for tightening these nuts up. In the field, if you have access to the 7/16 wrench, then that will probably what you'll be using, but we in the shop use a torque wrench as well. The torque wrench is an inch ounces, not foot pounds like the great big automotive ones, because doesn't need nearly that much pressure, but you can find these for sale, inch ounce torque wrenches. It will be set between 7 and 9 pounds for that. Just using a regular wrench, you want to make it all them snug, and you're kind of doing it, there's only 4 of them, but kind of in a tire pattern. You don't want to go in the circle, but kind of crisscross them. You get a nice even tightening. Once they're all snug, then you start again and give them each another quarter turn. And now we're going to replace the tubing. If your machine's a little bit older, you may find when you take that tubing off that it's kind of got stuck to the copper. You may have to scrape it off with a razor blade, chop the end off, and then attach it. If you order a new one, it usually comes with a little piece of tubing too. You can certainly order it from our website as needed. There's also one on the T side to hold it on there snug, because there is some back pressure in there from the pump and from the air pump. Both the air pump and the fluid pump feed into this line. So flip off the excess ends, and we should be good to go. I need to put the lid back on. Hook tool really comes in handy when you're putting it back on. You just reach down there and pull that spring up and drop it in place. And now the lid is secure. We'll put our ground strap back on it. And the cover back on. Hooks in the front and pulls back. Don't forget your ground wire. And then drops into place. Put my bit back in. And forward. And then the one on the top. 2 in the back. 2 on the side. I'm not sure exactly how long that took, but it wasn't too long, and it's worth the effort to keep these machines running good. The fluid usage is about 80 hours per gallon, and we recommend a cleaning every 5 gallons or 20 liters, so that's about 400 hours of runtime. So, but it does need to be done, and if you don't do it, you could end up with something like this we had sent in for repair. This is a block pulled right out of one of the machines, and as you can see, fluid has escaped the chambers and got into the insulation, and then sat there and cooked for a while because it has all turned black and all. It's quite the mess. We take this one apart. We'll see that number one, well, the outlet tube's broken off. So I'm imagining a lot of that could have also dripped in there from that. I may not have noticed. The haze would probably still come out the hole, but not out the outlet tube. So this gasket's also pretty mangled, got cracks in it and stuff, so that's other places it could leak through. The chamber itself is in terrible shape. It looks like it had been cleaned, fairly recently by somebody, but the inlet tube may not be clean too, so it might have some back pressures there. So underneath, you can see this is the thermocouple. This is what sends the temperature information to the circuit board, whether to turn off and on the relays, to keep the temperature in the proper range. And this other one is, they call it the ceramic disc. It is like a over temp safety. If it reaches too high of a temperature, which is beyond the temperature range it's supposed to be running in, it will shut off power to the main switch. That prevents a runaway meltdown situation with that. So, and then here in the back, this is the heater cartridge, which hooks up to its place on the circuit board and neutral bus, and the you can see all these parts are probably damaged. This may work, but these other two parts are gone, I think. So our technician can fix this. He can clean this all up and put new parts in it, but it's sure going to cost a lot more than just doing the maintenance on a regular basis. So anyways, that's a mess. So anyways, that kind of covers what I got to talk about today. I was wondering, Marnie, do we have any questions from anybody?
Yes, we do have some questions.
Okay.
First question is, how long does it take to heat up the machine?
Well, from a cold start, it's about 8 minutes for it to get up to temperature where it'll run.
Can I run any kind of cleaning solution through the machine, like vinegar and water, to clean it out?
No, not in this case. You're going to do more harm than good for that. This, the buildup in there is not, something that's going to help with. So, no, it would be the answer. So,
what do the green and red status LEDs on the back of the machine mean?
Okay, well, let me get a machine up there. This is our newer machine with the LED coder for setting the DMX address. Sorry, I stepped out of frame for a second there. The green one flashing right now means that it's heating up. So, and then on this particular model, this is the model where it.
In standalone, it doesn't flash.
Yes, it won't flash if it's in standalone mode.
The red one.
So
the red LED.
So I'm gonna have to change the address here to a DMX address. I just set it to 001, and then I'll plug some DMX into it, and we will get a solid red light there for the DMX. So if that's flashing, it's looking for DMX but doesn't have it. So there, I just dumped it out, so it went away. So the green light flashing means that it's heating. When it's fully heated, it'll be a solid green. So on our other machine, the in 600 mode, with the thumb wheel mode, it will actually show that it's, if it's flashing, it'll say that's in that 600 mode. So anyways, did I answer those questions?
Yes.
Okay.
Another one is, what does a triple flash on the green LED along with the fan kicking onto high speed on its own mean?
Well, In my experience, you probably have some sort of a problem with your thermocouple or maybe the heater cartridge itself. So sometimes those are a little bit hard to diagnose without actually seeing the machine, but that'd be my best guess. So, you know, if you get in touch with Angelo at our service center in Canada, he's got so much experience with helping people, you know, determine what their problem is, and he may be able to, you know, have parts sent to you, and you can do it yourself with that information. But Angelo, he can be reached at service@ultratecfx.com, and he's got a toll-free number 866-534-5557, or if you're calling elsewhere, 519-951-3355. And he's really good at talking people through these kinds of things on the phone. So, any other questions?
Yes. I'm trying to change the fan speed, but it always stays at the same slow spin. Why can't I change it?
Well, I guess it kind of depends on what mode you're in, but if it's not responding, there's probably some sort of a problem on the circuit board, or once again, a problem with the thermocouple. It just kind of messes up the brain a little bit when that happens.
My machine is not heating up. What could be causing this?
Well, if your machine's not heating up most of the time, it's going to be the heater cartridge itself that has failed. You saw the mess we had on that one. Those fluids get in those wires, and you can get some false signals and stuff. They're pretty much, you know, real dependable. They'll go to they just turn off and on with the triac. And when the temperature sensor says it's hot enough, then it'll shut it back off. But if that's not working, there's some sort of a signal loss somewhere along the chain. It could be the triac itself, or it could be the thermocouple information going to it. It could be bad as well.
We have another one.
Okay.
I have DMX connected to the Hazer, but is not responding to my controls. What could be wrong?
Okay, well, we discussed exercising the DMX wheels. Sometimes there'll be some corrosion or something in there. There is a DMX chip on our circuit board that occasionally fails, but it's not real common. So I would say it was probably more the encoder than otherwise. If you're having problems with the DMX on the output side, sometimes people put their output cable inside the input for the remote control. It's also a 5-pin XLR. So, but
Just looking.
okay.
No, it doesn't look like we have any more questions.
Oh, okay. Well, thanks for joining us today. To see the Radiance Hazer in action, you can join us at the following trade shows: IAAPA in Orlando, Florida, November 19th through the 22nd, in booth 1629, and LDI, Las Vegas, Nevada, November 22nd through the 24th. That's in booth 931.
We'd like to thank everybody for joining us, and we'd also like to apologize for the feed. However, this video will be able to have access to it after this session. So once again, thank you for joining us. And for more information on the Radiance Hazer and our YouTube videos, please go to our website, ultratecfx.com.